Hey everyone, Ketsia Elizabeth, and I wanted to hop on to talk a bit about my Goddess Return program and why I created it. So, this space was something I came up with at the end of last year, and I ran it as a 4-month program called the Sacred Feminine, and it was born out of conversations that I was having in my online network where we were talking about sexuality and what it is to be a woman and what it is to be feminine and how hard it can be in our culture growing up with all of these different messages being put on us since a young age, right? That, if you're too sexual, then you're a slut or a whore, but if you don't want sex, then you're a prude, and that you should be attractive, but you shouldn't be too attractive, and that if you're a good mother, that somehow your sensuality isn't supposed to also be alive. And there's just so much that becomes confusing. And when you compound that on top of all these different standards of beauty that we grew up seeing and everything that is just set up to make us not connected to our power, to our joy, to our pleasure, and questioning everything about what it means to be a woman and how we should be a woman in our culture. And I realized how wrong it is that our sexuality is seen as this separate thing from the rest of us because it is such a part of nature. If you look at nature and the flowers and the animals and the way that the world works naturally, it doesn't make sense that this beautiful part of us that releases all of these wonderful chemicals in our brain, that gives us so much energy and joy and connection and is one of the more like spiritual experiences that we can have, that would be seen as something to be controlled or be negative. And for me personally, I grew up with a lot of shame around my sexuality, a lot of shame around my urges and my kinks and what I liked and didn't like, and all of that got compounded with trauma that I went through as a teenager. And I had a very difficult time embracing all of this, and it was getting in the way of connecting to my partner. It was getting in the way of me feeling connected to my power, being able to set healthy boundaries, and in the way of really loving myself. There was a long period of time that I was so critical of how I looked and the way that my body was shaped, and I had a lot of self-hatred and negative talk that I had to undo, and it put me into a place of deep depression and anxiety. And I'm so grateful that I started on the path of personal growth, first to start healing my anxiety, but eventually realizing how much this is all connected to embracing my sexuality and defining what feminine and woman mean to me and not looking outside to define what that is. And since then, I've been on an amazing path of healing. I've been connected to so many beautiful women. I joined online women's circles. I joined different communities. I hired coaches. I went to therapy, and all of these spaces helped me to feel beautiful and to love myself and to awaken my inner goddess and to walk with pride and walk with care for myself and to start embracing my sexuality. And it's affected every part of my life. It affected my relationship because now I can connect deeper with my partner and I can have joyful sex instead of having sex that felt good but also brought up a lot of negative emotions. But it also affected every other part of my life, from launching a business to my day job. I'm more confident. I'm happy leading spaces. I go for promotions. I go for projects that I love. I have courage and I have confidence in myself. And I also know how to set really healthy boundaries because now that I'm connected to my pleasure, I know what I want. I know what's good for me and what's not good for me. I know what's healthy and what's not. And I can set boundaries, whether that's at work and having a work life balance, whether that's with my friends or with myself, like making sure that I don't push myself to do things that I don't want to do, and being really honest about what supports me and what my needs are, and being able to express my needs to the people in my life, to my partner. There was a long time that I was a people pleaser, and it's funny because the people in my life have been incredibly supportive and receptive to anything that I express. But when I was in that people pleaser mode, I would just kind of go along with a lot of things and not speak up and not have a voice. And having a voice is a huge part of this too. I have recently started taking singing lessons. It's all very connected. That is also helping me to feel courageous. And I've been wanting to sing since I was 5 years old. But my shyness, compounded with all of the anxiety and depression and different things, really stopped me from trying to do the things that I love. And that is why I created this Goddess Return program. I originally started an online community called Wild Heart Haven, which is still going and is beautiful, and I will be probably talking about that in future videos because there's a lot I have planned for that too. And Wild Heart Haven is all about, not getting to the end of your life with these huge regrets of things you wish you would have done, and creating a safe and supportive community of kind-hearted people who want to reconnect to who they were before the world told them who they should be, and to keep our passions alive and to build strong businesses or careers and strong lives that support us in being our most joyful, authentic, free, healthy self. And that's an amazing community. I'm so glad to still be hosting it. But after running that for about a year, I started to realize how much there's this importance with female empowerment and with connecting to our sexuality and embracing our body and our experience as women. As women in our culture, we have to do that in order to have all of the other stuff that I talked about in Wild Heart. We can't have a deeply meaningful life and go for our dreams if we're disconnected from our body, from our confidence, from our pleasure. And that's why I created Goddess Return. And the idea of it was to come together with other women and to let us share in wisdom together, letting all of society's views and all the things that we've been told kind of fall outside of our circle, and really connecting to, well, what do we believe and why do we believe this, and what beliefs are really true to ourself and our heart, and which ones maybe were from experiences or from the culture we grew up in that don't really align with who we are. And working together in circle to connect and to have these conversations that often there is no space for in our culture. And after doing that, exploring how to connect to our body, how to connect to self-love, how to heal, and how to allow healing of pain and trauma to be light and to be easy. It doesn't always have to be hard, even though I know a lot of that is difficult and there's a lot that has to go to therapy. But there's a lot of healing that happens when you join together with a circle of women who are there to see you exactly as you are and to love you exactly as you are and to hold you up in your healing process and to make you shine bright. And beyond that, we also dove into the ideas of empowerment and how to reclaim our beauty and our femininity and our womanhood and our experience as our own, defined by us, not by what anyone else has told us it should be. And it's been a beautiful experience. I'm so happy to be relaunching it. I've added a month, so that we can dive a little bit deeper into some of these concepts. So it's a 5-month journey now. All the women at the end of the last one said they would have wished to have another month. So I'm really glad that I've added that. And I've also brought in more of my learnings. I've been through more trainings and joined more communities and experiences over the last 6 months. And I'm bringing in a guest yoga teacher and a tarot teacher, and I am going to be leading us through belly dance workshops and somatic workshops to really get into our body wisdom and connecting to our body as well. And I'm just so excited about this space. The work is so deep and meaningful, and the more that I do it, and the more women that I talk to, the more they come into the space and they say how broken they feel in different areas. I hear that word so much, that they feel like something is wrong with them. They feel like something's broken. And to see them transform just by being in loving space, and to be able to go through this journey together where we're really exploring all of this ideology for ourselves and reconnecting to ourselves on so many levels. It's a wonderful space that I am honored to host, And every single time I learn so much, and I get deeply rooted in the fact that this is needed in our world. Women need to heal and women need to be held up. There's so much oppression against women still in so many areas. There's so much censorship of our sexuality, and it's such a part of our beauty and our power and our creativity and our empathy. Everything is tied in with what makes us sensual and sexual beings. And when that's put in a box and controlled and censored, it really damages the connection to so much of who we really are. And I'm really passionate about this work. I wasn't expecting the depth that we reached in that first circle. It was really drawn out of my own healing and my own, breaking through, realizing I shouldn't be ashamed of myself and my sexuality because it's natural. And why on earth was it ever made to be anything but something beautiful and natural? And that realization and that first conversation that I had with members in my network that launched all of this, I had no idea how needed this was, and how deep the journey was going to go. And I'm just very excited to be continuing it, and I'm also happy to share it with all of you. And I would love to know if any of this resonated with you. I would also love your help in finding the women who are meant to be in this space. I know how meaningful this work is. I know that it's a time commitment and it's a money commitment, but I also know how transformational it is and how meaningful support of other women is. Women's circles that I've joined have completely changed my life. Like, therapy was amazing. I'm still in therapy, and it's helped me a lot, but there were things that did not shift for me until I was in circle with other women, going through guided meditations, talking honestly, feeling safe and supported. And that's why I'm called to run these spaces myself now, because they've changed my life in ways that are priceless to me. Like, my anxiety is healed, my shame around my sexuality is almost gone. And that was a weight that I carried my entire life, um, that weighed on me so heavily that I never spoke about until I was in a women's circle, until I had the safety and the love and support and the space to speak about it. And now I go online and speak about it, something I never thought I would have done in the past. So if you're called to this, please reach out to me. If you're worried about the time commitment, even if you just come to the 2 main calls every month, it's hugely transformational. There were a bunch of women that didn't have time to do the journal prompts before the calls in the last one, and they still got so much out of the program. So please don't let anything stop you from joining this space if there is a worry or a fear that comes up, and please share this with anyone that you think could use it. I'm so grateful that you've listened to this message and that you're here with me on this journey as I continue to heal and as I'm called to hold space for us to learn to heal together. And thank you so much for listening. Feel free to reach out with any questions and send anyone my way. Thank you.